Hello everyone and welcome to the tavern. This is a video I originally looked forward to making. I remember getting the news about a brand new Voltron tabletop game and I was like, okay, I like Voltron, both versions. This could be really cool. And we were supposed to get more information on November 3rd, and then that didn't happen. And eventually on December 3rd, it came out. I guess Catalyst mixed up the months on the promotional information. Good work there, Catalyst. But it's not even the beginning of the problems I have with this. I'm a Voltron fan, and I wanted to like this. And I know that in my series of ranting about different tabletop companies, I've not really done one dedicated to the laziness of Catalyst. While I do feel a lot of companies are malicious, Catalyst always comes off as just lazy to me. Except for what they did to their online communities, that was vicious. But that's a discussion for a different video. This is about the customer and what they deserve. And what they deserve is a quality product, and what they're getting is far from. So, as we can see at the time of this recording, they've made a good amount of money. They still haven't achieved 1,000 backers, but I'm fairly certain that'll happen in the next few days. I'm not surprised that this got funded. There are enough fans of both versions of Voltron that this was guaranteed to happen. Plus, Catalyst has quite a bit of reach in terms of their customer base, and it's giant robots. So, you know, it kind of works with the whole Battletech thing. You might get some of those people jumping in as well. But this isn't about Battletech, is it? This is about the first anime giant robot series that got popular in the United States. I don't want to get too deep into the rules just yet. We will actually do a breakdown of the quick start rules. They did post some basic information on how the rules work, which I do appreciate. It gives you an idea of how the tabletop game will function. And then yes, the quick start rules are available. I will be breaking that down later in this video. Trust me, it's a thing. But now here we go, just as a kind of a sampler here on the stat system. Your stats are represented by different dice types. So what ends up happening is you're gonna have to take the dice of your stat, scroll down here, dice of your skill, and oftentimes some other dice to basically make a 3-dice set that you end up rolling, determining whether or not you succeed on a roll. I want to point out that if you need to do a skill check on most tabletop games, there's a little number you look at, and then you roll, and either that number raises or lowers your roll amount. And then you compare that number to the number you need to meet or beat in order to do the thing. Honestly, a very simple system that has worked really, really well. Or, hear me out, we can look at one chart to then look at 2 or 3 locations on our character sheet to determine what dice we need so that we can do the roll. Oh, by the way, there's also buffs and debuffs that could also occur as well, giving you very different types of rolls based on what is going on in the sequence. Because that's not complicated at all. And trust me, the rules just get worse beyond that. But at least they provided you with some infographics so that you can get a general idea of just how unintuitive this system truly is. Next big thing I need to yell about is the reward tiers for this Kickstarter, because dear God, do they annoy me. So we begin at the lunar level, $20. Okay, fair enough. It's a choice of one of 2 rule books. Yes, that's right, 2 different rule books. Because even though the gameplay system is basically the same, as there are differences in the universe of Legendary Defender and Defender of the Universe, they basically decided those needed to be 2 separate books instead of being chapters within the same book. If you're a fan of one or the other, you can get the PDF for pretty cheap, and for $20, that's better than most core rulebooks will be, at least as a PDF. With a few exceptions, I have seen some PDF versions of core rules that are a little bit cheaper than that, but $20 is relatively reasonable. But why the hell is this 2 different books when there's really no reason for this? Oh, I know, laziness. And to milk as much money out of a customer as they possibly can. So Planetary, $30 to get both. Alright, that's somewhat fair, and let's face facts, $30 for a PDF rule set sounds about right. I wouldn't complain about paying that much for the rule set for a standard game as a PDF, as long as the game doesn't have a rule set that makes me want to pull my hair out. Though I hate the fact that above the 30, you can see a crossed out 40. Essentially saying, hey, you're saving money by taking this route, otherwise you gotta buy Lunar twice, and that's $40. So it's a nice little trick there to make you think you're getting a deal when in reality, I mean, yes, it is cheaper than buying Lunar twice. As I pointed out, there's no reason this should be two separate books. It just means you have one different chapter, maybe two different chapters in the book. There isn't going to be a huge amount of differences in terms of what the robot can do and what the pilots can do because it was based off the same source material. So the Solar set ignores the tabletop completely and provides you with the board game. Now, the board game is designed a little bit differently than the RPG. The board game is essentially, for those who are familiar with the Jaws board game, it's a Jaws knockoff. The game is essentially designed as 2 rounds. In round 1, you will move your players around the board to collect power-ups and bonuses, things like that. And meanwhile, your enemies can also get stronger based on how they move around the board and what cards are drawn, things like that. Round 2, you actually are in Voltron and you're battling against a row beast, which is pretty cool, and then your various power-ups that both sides got will determine who succeeds and who fails on different types of attacks. Very similar to how the Jaws board game involves protecting the island and Jaws eating people to get stronger. And round 2 is battling Jaws while on the boat, acting like the climax of the movie with your different power-ups that both opponents got to make the battle more exciting. This isn't a bad system. Honestly, I have very few complaints about this. The $40 feels a little high, but you know what? For a game like that, that could be a lot of fun. The Jaws game is a lot of fun, and if this is basically Jaws but Voltron, that could be really good. Now, there are no videos or anything of them playing this. They just have a small description in the Kickstarter as to what the game is played like. So I am guessing a little bit on how the game is played, but I will point out that seems pretty good. See, this is not a complete hatred of Catalyst video. So then we have the Stellar level. Now, they're also showing a price reduction because you're getting 3 items. There's no reason for them to do that. It kind of disgusts me that they are, but here we are. And it's again a choice. You can choose Legendary Defender or Defender of the Universe, where you get the PDF, you get the hardcover book, and you get the special GM screen. If you don't care about one franchise and you only like the other one, I guess this is fine. And for $50, that's not a bad little set of stuff. This one is one of the more fair segments, but the fact that they try to make it seem like you're saving money by grabbing the 50, that's really not how a Kickstarter is supposed to work, is highly irritating. Galactic. Now you can get both. Alright, cool. It's double the previous one, despite the fact that they again try to show a red number up there. It is the same one but doubled. It's not saving money, it's just you get both for $100 instead of buying it twice for $50. In fact, if anything, you're not saving any money on this. You're just literally buying 2 of the previous level. But they try to make it sound like this is some sort of special deal. The Universal is, of course, the Get Everything pack. Both of the PDFs, both of the hardcovers, both of the GM screens, and the board game for $130, which, considering the board game costs $40 on its own, this is basically getting you $10 off that. I don't hate this deal as much as I should. But let's talk redundancy here. You now have 2 GM screens. When are you ever going to need 2 GM screens? That, as far as I know, are exactly the same outside of the image on the front, because the gameplay shouldn't be any different between the 2 games, at least according to the information in this Kickstarter. Having a spare book and the spare PDF is nice, but this also means when are you ever going to be swapping between these 2 books? So as great as this all sounds, it's a whole load of redundancy. But let's get into the add-ons. This is where we start getting things that are egregious. So $50 for an enamel pin set. Are you freaking kidding me? And by the way, it's choice of, which means there is one for each of the franchises. So if you want all 12 pins, you're dropping an extra $100. Have fun with that, collectors. I could never see myself paying $50 for a set of 6 pins, no matter how nice they are. That number is absurd. If it was $50 for both sets, or $25 a piece, or maybe if they even made a deal out of it, where you made them $25 a piece, but $40 for both, at least I could see people saying, well, you know what, at least I'm saving $10. That's nice. But this is ridiculous and disgusting. We go further down, $40 for metal dice. Okay, yes, they are colored for the different lions. That's kind of cool. But for 40 bucks for different colors? Are you kidding me? I could find a dice set equal to or better than this at a local convention for half the price, where the only core difference would be the dice wouldn't be colored to the lions. Bear in mind, it might make some of these very difficult to read, because when they do the weird coloration of dice, they can sometimes be annoying. To go back to my Battletech Kickstarter one, my dice set I got with the Swords of Regulars thing are unreadable. They are white on translucent light green, and it just blends with each other, and you can see the other numbers through the translucency, making it even more difficult to read. Now, maybe these will be easier to read. On this little image here, some of them seem fine, some of them seem a little bit more difficult. That could be the quality of the image, but the core point remains, I would not drop 40 bucks to have dice themed after the Voltron team. Now, we have two different sets of $50 for a limited print and the GM screen. Now, you can either get one from either of the franchises. At least this one's honest and shows it as two separate things, versus the pins that says choice. $50 for a limited edition print, that comes down to whether or not you want a limited edition print. The GM screen is hyper redundant once again, because most of the Kickstarter options provide you with the GM screen. So what are you going to do with two Voltron GM screens, or possibly three Voltron GM screens, or if you're really crazy, 4 Voltron GM screens? This is ridiculous. Give me the print at a cheaper price, I might be tempted. Give me maybe for 50 bucks you get both prints, I might actually do it. But why are you giving me a GM screen when the only things I could put this onto are the first couple of stages? Because after that, you get the GM screen as soon as you get the hardcover. If I go for this Kickstarter, which I'm probably not, but if I did, I would at least go to get the hardcover book so it would look nice on my shelf. And last but not least is the board game for $40. So again, if you're not going to go for the Universal set where you get the board game for 30 bucks, and you go for one of the lesser sets, you're paying the full 40 for it, because that's just how this is set up. Like I said earlier, $40 for this board game doesn't seem terrible. In a year or two, I'm fairly certain I can find this game for cheaper, and I'll probably be a lot happier with the lower price. There's stretch goals, and these are also stupid. First is wallpapers. La-di-da. I could go and find Voltron wallpapers on Google right now with no trouble, so thanks for nothing. Then we have the next rank, which is if they crossed 50,000, which they obviously have, if you saw the beginning of this video, which is an introductory adventure added to the book. Now this means one of two things. Either A, the book originally did not have an introductory adventure, in which case, what is wrong with you, Catalyst? Or two, this just means that the book gets an extra chapter of adventure. So instead of your book coming with one mission, it now comes with 2 missions. This doesn't feel like this should be a stretch goal. Again, like the fact that we have 2 different books, this should be something that's part of the book. All of this should be together. This feels like the kind of DLC where it should have been part of the main game, but instead they cut it out of the game and then charge you 10 bucks for it. This isn't a campaign. This isn't some long extended adventure. This is an introductory adventure. This is the most basic thing. What's this going to take someone 20 minutes to write up in their spare time? You could really tell the care and love that Catalyst is putting into this product. We have made it past the 750, even though this image hasn't been updated. Voltron posters. And by the way, if you read the flavor text, it's a choice. Again, I don't get both posters or a 2-sided poster. No, I have to choose if I want classic or legendary. And if anyone cares, I'd probably go classic, primarily because legendary becomes such a garbage tier show by the end that why would I ever want merch from legendary when I can just get classic, which hasn't been ruined by terrible writing and a horrible fan base. Yeah, there I said it. Legendary Defender is not that good. I know, hot take. There's not 100+ videos on YouTube about how Legendary Defender went to garbage. But wait, there's more. At 100K, which, considering they're almost at 80,000, this is more than likely going to happen. Dice bags. So in the text for this one, it's a little confusing, because it says 1 features Classic and 1 features Legendary Defender. So I don't know if that means we're getting 2 dice bags, or if this will end up being a choice like everything else. Considering the fact that everything else has been a choice, I get the feeling this is a choice. Now the good news is, I guess, if you're a fan of one series over the other, at least you can just have everything set for that one series and you don't have to ever worry about the other one even existing. However, if you're a fan of both, you're gonna have to shell out the money for what should just be one single product. And all these divided up items exist just to try to make you spend that little bit more money. Now, when they get through the 100k level, they'll unlock the next set of stuff, which this just shows a 150 with no information. There's not much I can really say about this. Maybe it'll be minis, maybe it'll be extra missions. Will it reach 150k? Whew, that's tough to say. I'm recording this with 17 days left in the Kickstarter, but I'm also making this video to warn people about the lack of quality in this Kickstarter, because I think there's just enough flash here and just enough nostalgia to drive people to drop their money on this. And I'm saying right now, if you're already on the edge, once we break the rules down, you're gonna be in my camp. And you know what the sad part is? I wanted this to be good. I run a panel on giant robot history. The last time I ran the panel, this had been announced, though the Kickstarter had not been posted. And I said, I am cautiously optimistic about this because it is done by Catalyst and they do know how to make tabletop games off of other people's IPs. This could be good. And after looking at this, I am so disappointed, it kind of hurts a little bit. And that's why I had to make this video.